what, man. Them bookies better look out for me. Boy bets on sports now. Well, NFL. I bet on NFL.
Yeah, I mean, you're a shark now.
I'm a shark, right? I mean, in the betting world, no, a whale. In the betting world, am I a whale? I won like 3 in a row.
SHRP.
Sharp.
Sharp.
Yeah. What's that mean?
Person that wins more than they lose.
Oh, sharp ratio.
Yeah, they just say, sharp money coming in on over 1.5 billion.
That's what I'm talking about. Locked in like a whole $40. Hey, man. I just do what I do, man. I just come out every day, just try to give it 100% and just take what's mine, you know what I mean?
Your hours of research.
That's right, yeah. Hours of research, coin flip. Hey, welcome to the Closing Beat, everybody. How we doing here today? Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a good day. Yeah, I placed a few bets, won a few things. I'm just saying. For those of you that know me, I know basically nothing about who plays sports. I know a lot about sports. I played sports, but keeping track of the players and all that stuff is not my thing. I have other things. What?
Did you just find out that the Raiders play in Vegas like last night?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know the Raiders were Las Vegas Raiders, but it was a great game and happened to win on that. I bet the field goal thing they would kick 2 field goals.
Allegedly. It's not legal here yet,
Oh, it's not legal here?
But you allegedly placed bets on the field goals.
Well, I allegedly won. Yeah. And it was a good game. I had a good time with it. I mean, so I'm just saying, you do what you do. I had a little free time. It was good. It got me away from everything for a while. I don't see it being a long-term thing for me, but eventually I will self-implode and head back to the markets. Hey, anyways, welcome. We're talking about the stock markets here, not sports betting, because that's what I actually know how to talk about is the stock markets there. And I would like to point out that the stock market continues its gradual, controlled, not crash, gradual, controlled pullback to the 50-day moving average. Simple as that. There is nothing else to read into the market at the moment. You could feel the weakness, right? I mean, I see it. We've been talking about it the last couple of days. Last Wednesday, last Thursday was a great example. Friday, where the weakness continued. Okay, cool, right? No problem. You can feel the weakness, but we're still here at the 50-day. What we talked about yesterday, nobody cares about the stock market until we either break or bounce off the 50-day. And the good news is we're here. We came down and kissed it, right? Just perfectly touched it there. So we'll see what tomorrow has in store for the stock market. But as far as the S&P goes, it's still in second place year to date. That's not bad. It's flirting with the 50-day moving average again. We now have over 50% of the stocks that make up the S&P 500 trading below their 50-day moving average. So remember, the S&P is not, it doesn't have a life of its own. It's made up of a bunch of stocks. Well, it's actually 55% of those stocks are below the 50-day. So they've already broke and sold off. The S&P is just, being pulled down by that, of course. And so we'll see what happens there. It's kind of going to be an exciting couple days because now we've got action. We've got something to look at. Speaking of action, in the S&P today, you had Las Vegas Sands down on the day. You had Wynn lower on the day. These are big gaming stocks or gaming companies also in Macau. Large presences there. Chinese regulators coming after some of those gaming regulations, maybe making it tighter or a little bit tougher on them. We'll see what happens there. I don't think should be a surprise. Comcast got lower on the day, which also took down Dish. Weakness there. Comcast had an investor day. I don't think it was an investor day. They had a conference of some kind, a media and entertainment conference, and they said their subscribers are tracking on pace to be less than what they had in 2019. Remember that anything that's subscriber-based or that's based on an exchange of a good or service or whatever that's not like an industrial kind of a product, we're using 2019's data, and the companies do as well, because 2020 was sort of an asterisk, right? An abnormal year. We get that there should have been lower growth in that year for a lot of companies. So anyways, that's what you have going on there with those names. Also, I point out Microsoft actually finished the day higher. That was helpful. Added about 1% on the day. Morgan Stanley predicted that they will raise their dividend by 10%. Adds another nickel or so to the quarterly dividend. So we'll see how that goes. We'll talk about Guess the Dow in a second. But the Dow is actually what happened. Broke under the 50-day. Now, this is not the same as the S&P. There's only 30 stocks. They're price-weighted, of course. It's a whole different index. But we've now broken below the 50-day again, which we did yesterday. But more weakness today. So is this like a hint of what the S&P is trying to do? It broke below, a little bit of an attempt to bounce, and then sort of falls apart here as far as today, erasing all of yesterday's gains. I don't know. Well, that's the beauty part of this. We get to do it tomorrow and see what happens. The Dow in third place, just clinging to third place year to date there. Today, you had United Healthcare weakness. I like the reversal yesterday, and I actually don't mind the pullback in United Healthcare today, just looking at a day-by-day kind of move. Goldman Sachs a little bit lower. All financials were lower today. On the inflation news, inflation is still there. I mean, it's not much. I think you guys know that. Home Depot was also one of the bigger drags in the Dow overall. Apple didn't help out it either. Apple fell almost exactly as much as it falls on the day that it actually announces the phone, right? So we've talked about this, where Apple runs up from the announcement of the event to the announcement of the iPhone, the stock tends to run up. On the day that it actually announces a new iPhone, what are we on 13 now or something? The stock price actually has an average loss of 1%. Today it lost 0.96%. You think the algorithms have picked up on that a little bit? They know exactly what it's supposed to lose there. So it's a buy on the rumor, or buy on the announcement, sell on the official announcement, I guess. And you know why that is, right? You say, well, why would he sell off it? I mean, there's a new phone and all that. Because Apple is now a more stable company. They're a mature company, I should say. And so you kind of already know what's going to be announced or officially announced ahead of time. You notice how they always leak, or somebody leaks, what the new iPhone will have, the iPads, the earbuds, and all that. So it's not as much of a shock when we find out, in fact, that was true. Back in the day, we used to not know anything. In Steve Jobs' day, boy, there was no leaks. And now it's normal. That's not to say they're a bad company or anything. It's actually very normal. Side note, by the way, I'm going to go over here to the charts. Global Star, big down day for them. Remember, one of the rumors was that Apple was going to put satellite capabilities inside of their phones. That was not announced today, and so that was a bit of a shocker for them anyways. So that's pretty much it. No help really from any stock here in the Dow besides Microsoft. Salesforce.com did give you a little bounce today, very minimal. Sold the 240 puts yesterday, so up a couple bucks on that. Looking for a bounce, just sharing a fun trade that I'm doing with you. We're not traders here at Jazz Wealth, just things that I like to do personally. I like to share with you because I know a lot of you are traders out there and have found a new passion in this world that we call trading. But if you like guessing or gambling a little bit, you want to take a shot at guessing the Dow, we've got a leaderboard here, right?
We do have a new leaderboard. I don't know if I would call it gambling, by the way. It's taking an educated guess. You got your top 5 today are Tate, Veer, Jim, Aaron, and Robert. You can play if you go to jazzwealth.com/guess the Dow. Get your guesses in by Saturday and play next week.
I like it. Tate needs a small bounce, man. Right?
Tate's in a good spot.
I think that's a good one. That's 70, less than 7, or more than 70 points just in the next couple days. I think Tate's looking good unless we continue to bleed off there. You would think that at some point, what is it, Tuesday? So you would think at some point throughout one of these days, the market's going to attempt a bounce. There's going to be a line in the sand. Down 3%, you're going to have some people saying, oh my God, the market crashed, I'm going to buy that, because that's what they're used to, right? We'll see what happens there, but if you want to play along, you are correct. Guess jazzwealth.com/guess the Dow. Inflation news today. Inflation was higher, not as high as we expected, but it's still higher, right? We all know it's still higher. It's not a shock or anything. It just sort of cooled off up there at those highs, pushing over 5% year over year. And when you look at inflation, we now know, remember I brought up this a while ago, I'd say the Fed keeps saying that inflation is transitory. Well, is it the rate of the increase of inflation that's transitory, or is it the level of inflation is transitory when they were using those words? And we finally have clarity now that they meant the rate of inflation is transitory. We could stay here for a while, but we're likely not going to rapidly increase from there. That I could agree with. So that's what we have there. Bitcoin, a little bit of a mover here today. I see in the mainstream media today, they watched the closing beat yesterday. Always good. Appreciate that. They're all the financial news channels. The wash sale rule for crypto. Get it while you can, because the proposal that we talked about yesterday is going to get rid of that. So maybe little action there for the rest of the year. It might make for an interesting end of year trade for Bitcoin, but we'll see what happens there. Also, it is options expiration this week, right? Yeah. So if you don't know, the third Friday of every month is the monthly or standard options expiration. And so what we did is we said, how's that been going? It seems like options expiration weeks have been increasingly more volatile, right? Well, we wanted to put the data to it, so I thought I'd share that with you. This will be kind of our clip of the day to share with you. We have on the charts, here is, looking back a year, we took the performance, the average performance of the week leading up to options expiration, all right? So going back to September, we did October, November, December, blah, 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 all the way through. So here is, and in fact, last week for this year. So basically what you can see, you're looking at this, you go back 12 months, the week before options expiration tends to be positive. In fact, the average gain, if you were to look at that, is 0.92%, basically 1%, and it's positive 75% of the time. There's in fact only 4 times where the week before options expiration, standard options expiration, was lower. So that's pretty cool. You say, okay, the week before is not bad, standard market movement, nothing to be too worried about there. Now we look at the week after. Tease you a little bit. We won't do the week of. So the week after standard expiration, not too bad. It's pretty much calm or positive. Average gain there, 0.77%. And still positive what? What is that there actually? So if you had 4 of them there, that'd be 58% of the time. Okay, so still positive, not too bad. Now compare that to the week of expiration. Dun, 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 right? Holy cow, that's pretty negative. So the feeling or that perception that options expiration has been a little bit more negative lately and volatile, to say that, is actually true. This is the week of expiration going back there. You now have an average loss of 0.5%, so a wild market there, and it's only positive 3 of 12 times there. So in the last 12 months, trading the week of options expiration or having a portfolio, having been invested in something, well, you might notice a little more back and forth. So long-term investors, you go, it's options expiration. This may be a tough week, and it has been so far. If you're a trader, what's your bias going to be there? You're going to bet that the market's going to go higher, right? You could, but 3 out of 12 times in the last year, you'd have been wrong, or right versus wrong. That's not very good stats there. Well, in typical Jazz Wealth fashion, we took it a step further, just to look a little bit deeper into data here. So what about in options expiration week, the days of the week? Is there any particular day? Is the whole week nasty, right? So let's take a look. Here is the average over the last 12 months of each individual day during options expiration. Monday, not so bad, right? We're not even thinking options expiration on Monday. The market sort of behaves as usual, a slight gain. In fact, if you didn't know, the average performance for the stock market on any given day is 0.08%, right? Looking back to 1945 is as far as we could go back on that. So you go, okay, that's a little bit better than average. And then it gets more volatile. So you would say, if I'm an investor or trader in the week of options expiration, Monday, I probably don't have to be around. If I have a portfolio, I'll just check the market, no big deal. If I'm a trader, all right, maybe there's some action there. We're positioning for expiration. If you go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you might want to have a bias to the downside if you've been trading here recently, because that's where the weakness starts to shape up. And that is just a quick way to go through a whole bunch of data and share something cool with you. You know, a different way to look at it that you probably don't see on TV and stuff. So for those of you that are hanging out with us and enjoying that, I appreciate it. All right, let's go through the sector breakdown here for the day. All sectors were down on the day, every one of them. Well, you can see off to the right-hand side of your screen because we plot them there for you. Really, if you remember yesterday, we talked about all the strong stocks. They were coming after the strong stocks. Well, today it didn't matter if it was a strong sector, strong industry, or strong stock. It seemed like they came after them, everything, right? Sort of broad selling there. Controlled, again, non-chaotic, very simple pullback. You got oil exploration, regional banks. Just take a look as I flip through some of these. Oil service stocks lower, metals and mining lower. Home builders, actually kind of a nice, interesting pullback there to the 50-day. Energy was the weakest of the day, actually the weakest sector. Transports continue to be in its downtrend. This is actually one of the areas where you could say there's been good pullbacks individually for stocks. Financials pulling back. Industrials, see how there are some of them are strong, some of them are weak. Basic materials pulling back. Didn't matter. All across the board, wherever an index or a sector or industry was, man, they just kind of came after them. What's the moral of the story there? The areas that are now discounted, you look for the opportunity, so when the market does bounce, wherever it bounces, you now have a discounted position. The areas that are still holding up, okay, those are attractive because they're not weak. Why aren't they weak? That's where money is staying. It is not moving away from there. And everything in between is just kind of like, I'll get to it if I'm not busy or something. We'll look for ideas or outliers inside of those industries. So different breakdown there for you as well. New highs and new lows. Actually, there's only a handful of stocks on the list here today. 3 new highs, 1 new low. That's that's kind of a small number, right? Market access hitting a new 52-week low. We talked about this yesterday. Now more of a extended, oversold, kind of climactic decline there. You'd expect to see a little bounce on that one soon. There you go. IHS Market, somewhat in the same category. These guys are like data and analytics for hedge funds, mutual funds, advisors, things like that. They do other stuff as well, but that's what I know them for. That hit new 52-week highs, very strong. I'm actually just going through each one of them. KLA 10 Core, we talked about semiconductors yesterday. If you see the closing beat, gave you a whole list. We talked about performance, how far away from the 50-day moving average and all that good stuff. They hit new 52-week highs. Not sure I would chase it here after being up in the ultra short term. And Entergy hinting at a breakout there. Now look, when you think of things like this, do you want to play a breakout while the market's weak? Right? If you think the market's going to get a little weaker, do you want to fight it and go try to play breakouts? Makes it very tough. Now, if you think the market's pulled back to the 50-day and this will hold again, right? The markets will, in fact, bounce off their 50-day moving average. Well, then, yeah, you want to go look for breakouts. You want the strongest of the strongest stuff. So even a small lift in the market blasts off your breakout. Maybe that's something to consider there. And then I put Facebook on there because it's pretty close to hitting new record highs, and I find it interesting it hasn't really pulled back. Compare the last 5-6 days in the stock market to the last 5-6 days in Facebook. What do you have? Facebook's flat, hasn't fallen at all. Stock market, or whatever index you want to use, pull back, right? So Facebook getting a little bit of a relative strength award there. Okay, breezing through it all here today. I would do the stocks in the news. I'll take your questions if you have any and you want to play along. Here we go. Amazon, $18 an hour if you want to work at Amazon. Now, we have clients that work at Amazon and they love it. I haven't heard anybody really complain about working at Amazon, and I always ask when somebody says that. But they all say the same thing. You will be rewarded nicely. They treat you well, but boy, you will work your butt off if you work at Amazon. Well, they're going to hire 125,000 more employees here in the States. They're going to pay $18 an hour, raising the minimum at Amazon to $18 an hour. It's not bad, really, but I hear it's hard work. Intuit. We talked about this last week, early in the week. They are buying Mailchimp. It was rumored that they were going to buy Mailchimp for $12 billion. That would be officially the largest deal for Intuit. $8 billion was Credit Karma that they bought last year, I think. And so they're actually going to be buying Mailchimp. I am obviously very happy for the guys that run Mailchimp. That was a business, by the way. If you follow, or if there's a biography or a documentary on them or whatever it is, if you want to research them, that's how you run a business. Great job there. Took on no debt, no outside investors, just grinded out everything they could, and to the tune of $12 billion, right? They built an awesome brand, and I think businesses are cool like that. So many people go out and start businesses now, and they're raising Series F round, and they get all excited about the terminology and stuff. And basically, they own nothing of the company. They sell to a bigger company, and they did all that work for nothing. Not nothing, but for a lot less than they probably could have. So I like that one. I think that's cool that they did that. I don't know if they're sticking around. I would imagine they're still going to run the company, though. Kroger down 2.5% on the day. They got a delivery now feature that they're working on with Instacart. They're going to deliver in 30 minutes. Is that necessary? Right? We just ordered a bunch of curtains for this thing here, big like theater curtains, and Amazon said you can have it between 11 p.m. tonight and 7 a.m. in the morning if you need it. Is that? It's either that or like 2 o'clock tomorrow. Are we does anybody really care about that? Like if you need something from Kroger, does it matter if it's there in 30 minutes? How often would you use something like that? I don't know. I don't know about that one. Anyways, stock was lower on the day, 2.5%. I don't know what the split is, but I imagine Instacart will be making out pretty good with that if that is going to go through. Vimeo, recent IPO here. It's sort of like the commercial level of YouTube for streaming and stuff. They said August subscriptions. You pay for you can pay for a subscription. You can pay as a provider as well. Were a little bit higher than expected. I don't know why it was down. 33% growth overall in revenue and stuff. I didn't catch whatever bad news was there. Didn't notice that was lower. And lastly, Wells Fargo actually up 0.5%. Good for them. So I will take Wells Fargo on this side, which is the first time ever in history that I've done this. Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren says that they should break up Wells Fargo. The Fed should do everything in their power, which would be removing their financial license, basically, and saying that they should dissect their business so that they can't have people's personal money with institutional money because she has a personal vendetta against Wells Fargo. And it's really just political headlines, right? I think there is no reason to do that with Wells Fargo. I don't like what they did, and I've given them a hard time in previous videos. You got new leadership. You got a ton of new management. Let them try to rebuild themselves. They got to build their own trust. We all know what they did, so we kind of go, if you're going to work with Wells Fargo, you kind of stay a little bit away, but they'll build your trust again. They'll figure it out. I think it's all political drama in the headlines, but I'm not sure why she keeps harping on them. I've seen some of the previous testimonies where she just wouldn't let the guys talk. And at some point, you just go, shut up, right? Let him talk. Let's see what we're going to do. Let's come to an agreement here instead of just beating the guy to death. But anyways, I just thought, good for Wells Fargo. Nice to see it up on the day, and I hope that they just kind of grind away, build everybody's trust again. We put it behind us, and that's how the world turns. We will see. Now, if they don't, go get them. Go get them, Elizabeth. Yeah. Anyways, so that's that. I'll take your questions if you have any. We'll wrap it up and get on out of here because I got curtains coming. Right? All right, let's see what you got there. Hey, SpaceX launch coming up. Yeah, you're right. I was tracking that the other day. I was just looking to see, I forget what it's called. I'm not that into it, but the one where they stack the rocket on top of the rocket, I forget what that's called. I got to watch that. I'm fascinated by that. Yep. Hey, would you differentiate an overbought stock to a correction to the upside downside? Oh, I'm not sure I know what that means there. Let's see. Like Lulu was overbought post earnings and was corrected and then look for overbought. I'm not sure how you're asking that question there. Maybe the fact that you had a sell-off into earnings. I was actually hoping it would gap down on earnings and then just, slingshot back up. But so then you, instantly just take off. Now you're saying, are you looking for that pullback in here? And if so, would it be a large one? If that's the case, you hope that it pulls back. I doubt that you're going to get a real significant pullback in here. Anything back towards these highs, that's going to be where traders say, okay, I missed that big gap reversal, and they like Lulu to add in. And the institutional guys as well. You have guys that will just basically say, it's gapped up here and taken off. I can't justify that for my mutual fund, for my hedge fund, for my clients. And so they'll say, I'll wait. But if it does pull back, I can justify a slightly elevated price. You just can't go report to your clients or investors that you paid top dollar, Yep. Like it, man. Production level is good today. We get a little better every day, man. We just try. I lie. Sometimes things get worse, but we're improving and finishing up things here, and it's thank you for that. I appreciate that. Better than some of the other comments you guys leave, man. Shoot, there's some tough people out there. Tough on paper, anyways. You thought about starting a long position on Salesforce. I can't blame you. You got a pullback. You're right near technical support where people would be looking. You also, if you follow the options market, you'd notice there's a lot of people betting on this area. So I can't argue with that. Yep. Corrected up. Well, we don't say corrected up that I know of. So you might say the stock price corrected itself, right? But we wouldn't say it's corrected up because it's over 10% higher now. Covered calls on GT since the 17th, or at 17. Gotcha. Is there enough players there? Seems kind of odd. Is there a lot of volume for you? You're selling calls. Well, that's tomorrow, or that's this month. All right, you and a couple other people. There's not a lot of action there on those Goodyear $17 calls, but that bothered me a little bit. But what do you got, 15-cent spread? So just you and a couple other people trading that one there, huh? You're looking to begin selling options. Wheel. Wondering, is there a reason to save for 100 shares versus using LEAP options as collateral? If you're comfortable with that, you can. You absolutely can. That's kind of the, poor man's version of doing that. So you, instead of actually having the shares, you're saying, let me just go out and buy a LEAP, sell calls against that. Can you do that? Sure. I mean, you sound like you've already learned enough to know what you're getting yourself into. It's the same thing on paper. You're doing the exact same thing, just with less money. Yeah. I hear you. Cody getting the new office? Not yet. Not yet, man. There's still time. Do I own any Bitcoin? I do not own any Bitcoin. Nope. I love the keyboard warriors, man. I love it. I didn't see anything. He's saying, I've seen the comments there. AOC's got a wearing a dress or something today. I did not see that. She's been quiet lately, right? Well, I haven't watched a lot of news, I guess. I kind of just focus on the tax stuff. Politics for me is only interesting really when they start messing with the money. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. A lot of times bad. But so I'm paying more attention now, I guess, than usual. But other than that, the other stuff is we'll leave it to the channels that do that, right? Can't be good at everything. I know, right? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me here today. I will wrap it up. Hope you learned something new, right? A little something different. I always like to share stats and do things differently. It takes a lot to put that kind of stuff together, but it is fun to share, even if it only takes 2 minutes to share it. I don't know. I could talk more, but that's what you got. Keep it clean and simple, right? Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to get back to work, and thanks for watching and hitting the subscribe button and thumbs up and stuff. Come on. Hit the button.